Hello, American Crochet Association. Selena Baca here, founder, host, lead educator with the ACA, and it's Tuesday. Tuesday means Tip Tuesday. If you're watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. And if you are a member of the American Crochet Association, let me know in the comments and I'll give you an extra special shout out. Now, the way I've been doing Tip Tuesday lately is first I put together an awesome tip for you guys. I send it out in an email. So if you are on our email list, you already have access to Tip Tuesday and all the amazing goodies therein. So this is just meant to be a broader conversation about those tips that we're giving you guys every single week. And that way it's not just reading, because sometimes we love, I'm a reader. I didn't mean to say that in a bad way, but sometimes we like to read things and we also like to have conversations about them. So that's what I hope to do here. Today's tip is all about how to price your crochet work. And I know that so many people here watching go, I don't want to sell my crochet work. I have no interest in selling it. However, throughout your crochet career, throughout your crochet hobby, throughout your crochet life, I should say, every crocheter has been faced with that question. Hey, can you make me something? Hey, can I buy something from you? We've all been faced with that question, whether it's online or in person. And just having a formula to help you assist with pricing may help you to maybe sell an item or two, maybe if you're dabbling. And maybe you already have a crochet business and you're looking at really fine-tuning how you can earn a sustainable income. This is for you. So again, maybe it's just your hobby and maybe you just want to sell something every now and then, but you want to come up with a price that makes you feel good, that doesn't make you feel defeated, taken advantage of, or like you've just kind of given away your time for free. Now, I will say, just because you crochet does not mean you have to sell your work. There are some things that I sell, and there are some things that I make and give away just because I love the people in my life, and I know that they love what I've made. So this, by no means, is supposed to be everything that you part with. This is the price tag you should put with it. Absolutely not. There's nothing like crocheting for the people that we love in our lives, our friends and our family, and for charity. And for that, there's no price that we put on that. But again, if you're looking to kind of dip your toes into the pool of selling, this is a formula for you. Now, before I get into the formula, I see so many comments here, so let me stop and just see who's here and give everybody a shout out that's here live and watching. It looks like Rama Lakshmi is here. Hello, Rama. You are the first comment that I see. You, of course, has been a pivotal member of our American Crochet Association community, and we're so proud to have you with us. So thank you for dropping in. Chris Lopez, of course, is here because, Chris Lopez equals crochet community, and we're always so happy to see her here. Dipali is here. Oh, you're just so amazing. Linda, I looked right at Amanda Woodbury and said Linda. I don't know why I did that, but Amanda Woodbury is here watching. Of course, Amanda is one of our crochet professionals. I just had a very long chat with her this morning. So rewarding. This was one of the topics we talked about too, Amanda. Dipali says, was just checking the ACA email. Oh, all right then, you're just in time. Rama says hello to all of her friends. Amanda, of course, is saying hello to her friends here. Chris Lopez, happy Tuesday. Linda Woodthorpe, I was just thinking about you, so much so that I called Amanda your name. Linda says, hello, member of the ACA from the UK. Yes, Linda is one of our crochet professionals as well. And we would not be as much of a community without people like Linda. So thank you. Dipali says, the Tip Tuesday email, it came in for her. Our Linda is here watching. Linda, I'm giving you all the shout outs. Thank you. Every time I see your name, I'm just gonna shout it. Our Laura is here too. Of course, Laura is our membership genius, guru, fantastical everything. She's here watching. Laura, thank you for all you do for us at the ACA. Amanda says, love this conversation. I love this conversation too. How to price your work is something that I feel I found a formula that works really well for me. And I think that it applies to anything and anyone. And I think it's a really empowering conversation because so many people are just stuck when it comes to pricing. And they feel lost and confused, and it's a terrible feeling. And so I love having this conversation. Hello, Melinda Weber. So good to see you. Tommy is here. Hello. Jessica Fitzsimmons is here. Hello, Jessica. She's another one of our ACA rock stars. Loretta is here. She says pricing, and this is in all caps, so she is shouting it from the rooftops. Pricing is usually tough for crafters. Yes, I absolutely agree. I've shared a link in the comments here because I really wanted everyone who has not seen the stories that I've been posting to have an opportunity to go back and listen. I was going to say listen and watch, but it's reading. I'm sorry, guys, it's reading. To read some of the stories that I've been posting because really it has everything to do with pricing your work. Now, the reason I shared some of my own stories from my crochet career is that I've been in the crochet business professionally for 11 years now. My son just turned 11 over the weekend, and that made me really, this time of year always reminds me of my beginnings, there was a lot of turmoil in my beginnings. And so I shared some stories that were very pivotal in my life. That was terrible. I'm sorry. That were very moving, pivotal in my life, in my crochet life, in my crochet career, that helped me make better choices, that made me say, wait a minute, I'm doing exactly what everyone else is doing, but it's not working. I have the same gripes as everyone else in this industry. I have the same concerns. I have the same issues. I have the same exhaustion. This is not working. How can I make this better? So many of us, we crochet, and I say this all the time, and I'm never going to stop saying this. We crochet because we love it. It's our hobby. You pick up crochet and you start to do it because you love it, because you want to get better at it. It's just something that you enjoy. It brings you joy. It brings you fulfillment. It brings you connection, right? So for a lot of us, it's really a difficult transition to take this hobby and turn it into something that you can profit from. That's really difficult. It may seem very easy in the beginning because it's so easy to find clients. It's so easy to find people who say, hey, oh my gosh, I love that. Can you make me that? Can you make me something like that? And so many times we have so many more questions than answers. And we spend a lot of time and just mental effort figuring out how to create this thing that someone else is going to love. And then you put a price to that. And I think that we're very unfair in how we talk to our internal dialogue. We're very unfair. We say things like, nobody's going to pay me what I'm worth. Nobody wants to buy this. They can buy it from Walmart. If they want a hat, they can buy a hat from Walmart for $5. I had so many conversations with you guys. You guys were sharing with me some of your stories as I was sharing mine. And I had people say things like, I was selling baby outfits for $5. Or, I make these giant throw size blankets and I go to bazaars, but nobody wants to pay more than $45. Our internal dialogue is so negative. And what do? We allow others to dictate our value. Oh, you only want to pay me $5 for this baby sweater? Okay, I guess that's what I'm worth. You only want to pay me $45 for this throw that I made? Okay, I guess that's what I'm worth. We allow others to dictate our price. So I really wanted to be really vulnerable with you guys and share some stories from my life and some things that I've sold to, how I felt in that entire process. I just really tried to lay it all out there. I tried to be really vulnerable. I really tried to, put words to the emotions that not only I've felt, but I've heard so many of you feel as well. And the last story that I shared was, hey, I had a super successful, financially speaking, I had a really successful crochet business. But that was to the sacrifice of my time, of my mental health, of my physical health, of time with my family. It was detrimental to what I was doing, and it was not sustainable. So a lot of people feel that, success in this industry, whenever you sell things, they're like, yeah, I want to crochet all day, every day. Yeah, I can crochet things every day. That's just more money in my pocket. And we're just digging ourselves a hole that's very difficult to get out of. So the reason I wanted to share these stories is that I do have a pricing formula that allows us to change the internal dialogue that we have, that allows us to say, this is my time and my time is valuable and this is what I'm worth. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. So yes, I do have a very simple, straightforward formula that I'm sharing with you guys today. It's just 3 simple steps. I'm going to outline them here, and I do have a blog post, so you guys can go and quickly read that blog post and share it with all of your friends and apply it and just live a happy crochet life, okay? But I also have some stories, and that's the link in the comments. And so if you guys just want to, see some of the situations I put myself in, some of the situations that I think a lot of people put themselves in, or maybe you haven't put yourself in any of these situations in terms of selling because you already foresee, man, I don't want that to happen, so I'm not even going to start a crochet business. The reason I'm sharing my hardships is that I really want people to see that you can have a successful crochet career selling the things that you make, and successful means mentally, physically, financially. All of those things are important. You can have that success path. But if you don't outline things like boundaries, value, if you don't outline those things, if you don't predetermine those things, you're going to allow the market, you're going to allow other people to tell you what you're worth. And you're going to allow them to take your time. And that doesn't feel good at all. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to outline 3 simple steps to price your crochet work. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, let me know in the comments. We'll make it a conversation, okay? 3 simple steps, how to price anything that you make. It doesn't matter what you make. Now, before you hear what my 3 simple steps are, and this is for everybody watching live or on the replay, if you already have a pricing formula, okay, I would love to hear what it is in the comments. Or maybe you're like, I don't sell things, but this is typically what people do, okay? So typically what people do, and this is what I just want to abolish, let's just get rid of this, okay? Typically people say things like, if you're making a hat, it's just worth like $5 or $10. And they just put an amount with a thing. And that thing could take 5 minutes. Okay, a hat's not going to take 5 minutes, but if you use like weight 6 and it's for a newborn, it might take 5 minutes. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Okay, so maybe you're making a hat, right? How many varieties of hats are there? How complicated are they? Some are super simple. Some have a lot going on. Some hats are made with weight 2 yarn and they are knit look and they have like a million different things going on. They look totally amazing, but it might have taken you 3 hours to make. Right? Some hats are simple, double crochet beanie hats, and you made it with worsted weight 4 yarn, and it took you 45 minutes. So you can't just say hats are X. You can't say that. There's too many variables: size, yarn, time, simplicity. There's too many variables, okay? So 1, don't do that. I'm biding time because I would love to see what your pricing formulas are, okay, before we talk about mine. Another thing a lot of people do, and this, I just want to burn this idea to the ground. I want to set fire to it. I want to take the ashes. I want to put them in a hole, and I want to cover that hole with cement so that we never speak of it again. What is it? It is take the cost of yarn and multiply it by 3. I can't tell you how angry this idea makes me. I don't know who came up with this. I don't know why people say this, but I see it in crochet groups every single day. And the reason it infuriates me is because it doesn't make any sense. If you're selling something or you're not, okay? And you may be a person that goes, you know what? I just want to get more yarn money. That's totally fine. You do whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. So if you're comfortable making something for your friend because they've got the yarn and you're just going to make it as a gift, again, that's a gift. That's fine. But if you want to have a successful crochet business, successful mentally, physically, and financially, you have to have a better pricing formula than multiply it by a bucket of chicken, because that's about how much sense multiply the cost of yarn times 3 makes. Okay? So let's think about that logic for a second, just for a second, okay? Let's say you make a double crochet beanie hat with worsted weight 4 yarn, and you can make 3 beanie hats with 1 skein of Super Saver, and Super Saver cost you $5. So let's take that logic. You're going to take $1.50 for that one beanie, because now we're dividing down, right? And we're going to multiply that by 3. So you're going to charge $4.50 for a beanie hat? No, that makes no sense. Okay, let's think about that exact same pattern, that exact same beanie hat with another worsted weight 4 yarn, only this is hand spun, hand painted alpaca yarn from Narnia, and it's $50 a hank. Okay, it doesn't exist, but you know, you hear what I'm saying. Let's take that, and it takes 1 skein to make this 1 hat. So you're going to multiply $50 times 3. So you're going to charge $150 for that hat. Okay, if it's from Narnia, arguably it's probably worth $150. But do you see how that spectrum of the exact same item, yes, material should dictate a fraction of the price, but material alone is not a good indicator of price. So you're making the same hat, and it could be anywhere between $4.50 to $150. 0 cents. 0 cents. Okay. So again, if you just want to do that because you're not looking to start a business and you're like, I'm comfortable with that and I sell 2 things a year, have at it, okay? Absolutely. You do whatever you're comfortable with. But if you want to start a successful crochet business and you're like, I need to earn a paycheck. This is my job. I want to treat it like a job. Okay, here goes. Here goes. And I can't wait to read what you guys, I see so many comments here. I can't wait to read those. Okay, but here goes. Here are my 3 simple steps. Okay, step 1, what do you need to make per hour? And I know a lot of you guys are like, hold up, per hour? Wait a minute. Why are you saying that? Okay, think about it this way. Let's backtrack. Any job you have, at bare minimum, at least in the United States, I know different countries do things differently, but in the United States, if I go get a job anywhere, Dairy Queen, a law office, anything, entry level work, minimum wage, I'm going to earn an hourly wage, right? Doesn't matter where I go work. They're going to pay me minimum wage. It doesn't matter if I'm working, you know, in Victoria's Secret selling underwear. It doesn't matter if I'm working in Dairy Queen making ice cream. It doesn't matter if I'm the secretary at a law office. I'm earning minimum wage and I'm getting paid by the hour. I love that. I love that I can point to that as a business owner and say, this is my baseline. I can pay myself more than this, but I'm not going to pay myself any less than this. So let's go back to that hat. Okay, let's go back to that hat, that simple double crochet beanie hat, and you're making with Red Hard Super Saver, okay? You're going to take how much time it takes you to make that, and you're going to factor that into your price. So if that hat took you 1 hour to make, from start to if I picked up the yarn to I fastened it off and I sewed in my ends, it took me 1 hour to make this. If minimum wage in your area is $10, you are paying yourself at least $10, and that's labor costs, okay? So that's step number 1, and that's the first thing you do. That's the first thing you consider, okay? So second thing you consider, and I already kind of put it together. I already put the 2 things together, but we're going to outline it again, okay? Step number 2 is how much time did it take you to complete the item? And I already put that in with step number 1. I was overzealous. I'm sorry. But how long does it take you to make an item? And so many people go, well, sometimes I make blankets and they take 12 hours. So if my minimum wage is $10 an hour and it takes me $12 to make it, nobody's going to pay me $120. Some people will. Some people will. If blankets are the things that you love and that's your passion and that's what you're skilled at and they take you 12 hours to make and you're worth at least minimum wage in your area, yeah, you should pay yourself $120, because if you were working somewhere else at Dairy Queen or Victoria's Secret or a law office or wherever else, they're going to pay you at least $10 an hour. And this is your job. And you guys are going, but I can do my job from my couch and I watch Netflix. Great. That's a work perk. But you're still just crocheting. You can't really crochet and do other things, okay? So it's not like you're just, well, I'm just living the high life. I mean, a little bit because you're crocheting and it's your job, right? But you can't multitask. You can't crochet and run errands. You can't crochet and do the dishes because you're at home. You can't crochet and effectively take care of your children 100%. You cannot multitask. Multitasking is a myth. Can you crochet and listen to Netflix and watch Netflix? Yeah, a little bit, sure. So you can multitask a little bit and that you're just a little bit mentally present for the rest of your life. But really, you're sitting and you're making that thing. So if you're sitting and you're making that thing and somebody else wants to pay you to do it, they're paying you for 12 hours. If it's a hat and it's 1 hour, you charge for that 1 hour. If it's a sweater and it's 6 hours, you charge them for 6 hours. If it's a blanket and it's 12 hours, you charge 12 hours. That's just what you do. Okay. So thing number three that you add in. Okay, so first, give yourself at least minimum wage in your hour. Give yourself at least minimum wage per hour, and that's for your area. That's a starting point. I'm not saying that's all you get. I'm saying that's a good starting point, because gone are the days of $1 an hour. Gone. Let's bury them. Let's put them to bed. Okay. Number two, how many hours? How much time did it take you to make that? And if you're like, but it took me 1.5 hours, divide your hourly wage. If it's $10 an hour, then you made $10 plus $5. There you go. Simple enough, right? Super simple. Okay. Thing number three, factor in other costs. Okay. Factor those costs in and list them. Okay. But make it really, really, really simple. Now, in a business, you really have to be in business for a year before you see what your overall costs are, okay? And it's not fair to put all of those overall costs into individual projects. Really, it's a better idea to take those overall costs and incorporate them into the little projects that you make, right? So it's not like, well, you know, I bought this one pattern, but I'm going to be making this pattern a lot. This is something I'm adding to my shop, but I paid $5 for this pattern. So I'm going to charge Jessica. Hey, Jessica Fitzsimmons. Jessica wanted me to make her this hat. So I'm going to make her pay for the pattern. But everybody else, nobody else is going to pay for the hat pattern, just her. Really, there are work investments that are going to be in the grand scheme of things. So kind of put those out of your mind for now. Okay. I know that there's lots of little costs like taxes and tax preparation and software and all this. Put those into your general overall expenses, right? And also, please see a tax attorney because I am not a tax attorney and I am not legally allowed to give you any kind of tax advice, okay? So the kind of costs I'm talking about factoring in, the reason I said that is because I'm talking about minimal, okay? Minimal factors, okay? So we already talked about labor costs, your hourly wage. Now what I want to talk about are those additional costs, material costs. Your order should include the cost of materials. So if you used one whole skein of Red Heart Lion brand, that's not a thing, of Red Heart Unforgettable, and that's, $6 a skein, you're going to add that into the cost. So if you made a hat and it's a double crochet beanie and it took you 1 hour to make, you're going to charge $10. But then you're like, but this yarn was $6. I'm going to add that on top of it. So it's going to be at least $16 for that hat. Other costs you're going to add in. Maybe you made a pom-pom. Maybe you made something else that goes with it. Whatever else you add in, you're going to put that into the cost, okay? So don't skimp on it. Now, how are you delivering this? How is the person going to get it? Are you going to put it in the mail? How much do shipping materials cost? Have you ever heard of shipping and handling? Okay, well, there's shipping costs. Maybe it's going to cost you $3 to mail this thing, but maybe you had to pay $1 for the bubble mailer, right? So it's $3 plus $1. Add in those costs, however much it costs to get it into your client's hand. Maybe you drove it across town and it was a 10-minute drive. Maybe that's $3 in gas or something like that, a $5 delivery fee. Hey, that's also your time. So consider that. It's going to take me 20 minutes to deliver. Let's see, my hourly wage is $10. So it's going to take at least $5 to deliver this to you. Don't skimp on your time. Don't skimp on the materials. Don't skimp on shipping. You're just going to list all those things out, and that's what's going to give you not only your fair wage, so you know exactly how much your time is worth, but it's going to factor in all those other costs that's going to get that item in your client's hand. All right? Okay, so those are my 3 simple steps. I do have a blog post that lists these things out. It's a 5-minute read if you'd like it. And remember, you don't have to sell every single thing that you make. You can give things away. You can do it just for you can do whatever you like. But if you want a sustainable business, I guarantee this is going to be a formula that you can utilize for anything that you make. And next time you see someone say, how much should I charge for this scarf? How much should I charge for this hat? How much should I charge for this blanket? My friend wants me to make them this animal hat. Please share this formula with them because I would really like to abolish the multiply the cost of yarn times 3. I would just like to get rid of it. Okay, let's see who's here and what you guys are saying. And let me give some more shout outs. All right. Let me see. All right, I'm doing a lot of scrolling here because I see a lot of comments. Amazing. All right, let's see. Rama says, yes, Selena, they are worth reading. I went through them. Of course, she's talking about the 3 stories that I shared up top. Thank you so much, Rama. I really appreciate you. And if you read all 3 of those stories, at the end of the 3rd story, there is a free class about pricing. It's a really long class too. It goes over so many different things. So if you want a free sneak peek at that class, definitely check out and read those 3 stories, because there's a link to that, but that class is only going to be free this week. Amanda Woodbury says, it took a few sleepless nights for me to learn how to separate hobby from business. Yes, it can be a hard lesson, but it doesn't have to be. So learn from me, learn from my mistakes, read my stories. Chris Lopez, there's so many people that don't want to pay. I had a nightmare experience with someone who wanted a customized sweater collar from this pattern, sleeves from this, etc. Halfway through, she bailed and wanted her yarn. I frogged it and gave her the yarn. She was angry I didn't give her the work I had already done with no charge. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'd really like to eliminate scenarios like that. So really, you know, the price, the how to price your work, free class that I'm giving. If you read all my stories, and you can take the class, it talks a lot about when to charge, how much to charge, do you take money up front, you know, all of those things. So it really eliminates a lot of that heartache. Hello, Frances. So good to see you. Thank you for checking in. She says, yes, it hurts some of the pricing at times. Yes, absolutely. Tapali says, I did not make more new clients, but the ones I sell them are recurring customers. Yes, it's a good idea to get recurring customers. Hello, Alexandra. DePauli says, I find it difficult. Yep, pricing can be difficult. Amanda Woodbury, she says, live your happy crochet life. Amen, sister. Loretta's here. She says, I've been there too. Just give price of item up front. Ask for half as down payment. See, I disagree with that, Loretta. I think that in anything that you are making, if you've got a serious client, they'll pay you 100% up front. And that's just one of my business practices that I follow. And it's a business practice that I pass on in the courses that I give. So again, if this is your business and this is your time and this is your work, if you've got a serious client, you outline, this is how much it costs. Your order is not on the books. It is not a real order until you pay for it. So I always ask for payment up front. Chris Lopez, she says, yep, most of us have learned that the hard way. Yes, absolutely. Amanda Woodbury says, I sit down with a timer and charge per hour. Absolutely. Absolutely. She says, that method fired me up to not cool. The cost of materials times 3. Oh my gosh. I can't. Nignon says, I charged a fixed amount per hour. And she says, spent on the project plus the cost of yarn. Yes. So always your time plus the cost of materials. Let me see. Terry says, hello, everyone. I'm a little late tonight, but made it live. Go back and watch the replay. Amanda Woodbury, she's giving us her pricing as well. She says where she lives in Idaho, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. She says, so she charges $8 an hour. So that's an excellent example of, I always say 10 because it's a nice round number. And it's easy for me to multiply on the fly, right? But Amanda's giving us a great example. Minimum wage in her area is $7.25, but for her work, she charges $8 an hour. So that's a great example of, just using minimum wage as a baseline to show what your worth potential is. And again, that's what you'd be making if you were working anywhere else. So it's a valid point to make. Frances, she says, I tried the hourly minimum wage by me, but not only am I too slow for me, I couldn't do that to people because I'm slow. See, Frances, I disagree with that. And in my class, I talk a lot about, because so many people say, I can't charge per hour because I'm slow. Frances, let's say you and I complete the same item, and maybe it takes me 1 hour to make, maybe it takes you 2 hours to make. You and I are completely different people. You and I are making completely different things. So the things that you would make and just who you are is going to give you a completely different client base than me. So it's not fair that you would work 2 hours on something and I would work 1 hour on something, but we would get paid the same amount of money? That's a terrible thing. Again, think about, Frances, think about it. You and I, we're both working at Dairy Queen. Today's our first day. We're both getting the same amount of money, girl. We just are. I think that's a fair scenario, okay? I think that if we're both doing the work, we're both getting paid the same amount. We're both getting paid for the time that we're putting into it. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to have arguments about, but wait a minute, if you're making this ice cream and she's no, let's not do that to ourselves, okay? Again, we're talking about minimum wage, but we're also talking about skilled labor. Can you go anywhere and get something that Frances would make? No, Frances has her own flair. She has her own style. She does things that no one else can do. And that's worth a fair wage for Frances. So you should not skimp yourself just because maybe someone else is selling something similar that you've made for $5 less on Etsy. Don't do it to yourself, okay? Don't do it. Amanda Woodbury, you've got to find your audience that won't complain about the cost. Yes, well, when you know your value and you don't skimp on your value and you're confident in your value, then people will find you. You will find your right client base. You absolutely will. Is everyone going to be your ideal client? No, and that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. Amanda Woodbury, she says, yes, multitasking is a myth. It really is. It really is. And that's another lie we tell ourselves whenever we crochet. We're like, well, I can't really, I made this, but I watched Netflix the whole time and my kid was there. So, I don't really want to charge you for that. Again, if this is your business, you got to put that business hat on. Of course, you're going to make better business decisions. Maybe you're not always going to crochet while you're babysitting. You're not babysitting your own kid. Poor choice of words. But, you're going to do things differently. You're going to have business hours and you're going to have, your own personal hours. And those business hours, those are going to be those ones that you're going to multitask less. When you're multitasking less, you're much more focused. You are going to be a little quicker. You're much more focused in terms of how you deliver. So it's a completely different mindset. Jessica Fitzsimmons, I tried crocheting while participating in a video conference. I totally wasn't paying attention to my meeting. I had no clue what was going on. See, it's really difficult to multitask. Even if we lie to ourselves and say, well, what I'm doing is mindless. It is, but you're still only half paying attention to whatever's going on. Alexandra, she says, excellent advice. Chris Lopez, she says, do you recommend giving the customer an itemized invoice or receipt? Absolutely. And I outline this in great detail in the course that I put together, My Crochet Career. Exactly what to invoice, exactly how to invoice, and how to be very transparent with your client. And that way, when your client goes, oh, hey, I just want a hat, and you go, what kind of hat do you want? You know exactly how to charge for the hat, the size, the yarn, whether or not they want ear flaps, whether or not they want a pom-pom on the top. You know how to itemize things based on how much time it takes you to make them and how much the materials cost. And you can articulate that to your clients in an effective way. So not only are you giving them exactly what they want, but you're showing them how much it costs. So yes, I do recommend that, Chris. Terry B is here. She says, the blog post is really worth reading. Highly recommend it. Thank you so much. Amanda Woodbury says, it takes a while to get it settled, but it's oh so worth it. Yes, identifying what your price is and identifying how to price things. And I know that there's still probably a lot of questions because you may be saying, well, I want to crochet everything for anyone. And that's kind of a hard process to start a successful business, because if you're crocheting everything for everyone, then it's harder to price those things because you don't know how much time it's going to take. You may not know how much materials are going to cost or how many materials there are. So really, I do recommend fine-tuning what you're skilled in and starting there and building your business based on that. So maybe your crochet business starts as those blankets you love to make that you make all the time, those hats that you love to make. Start small and you can always grow and expand from there. Frances, she says, pricing amigurumis is a little hard, so I've been more on an hourly wage. With this causes yarn costs. Well, with this, because yarn cost is not like a hat, Selena. Yes, absolutely. But that's where if you are making amigurumi, you're not using a lot of yarn, but you are spending a lot of time. So that's why the cost of yarn times 3 doesn't make any sense. You could make an amigurumi, and I'm so glad you said this, that's maybe $1 in yarn, but it might take you 15 hours to make. So that's where the cost of materials are added on, but it's more so that you put a lot of time and effort into that. So people aren't necessarily paying just for those materials, they're paying for your time and your skill. Chris Lopez, she read my 3 stories. Thank you so much. They're listed in the comments. She said they were great. Thank you so much. Terry B says, I loved that class too. Of course, she's talking about My Crochet Career. She says, I have learned a lot this week too. Well, thank you. Alexandra says there are people out there that appreciate handmade items. Yes, there are. There are people that appreciate crochet. They're going to appreciate you. They're going to know, like, and trust you, and they're going to want to buy from you. So yes, you are worth a fair wage in that respect. Let's see. Wendy is here. Hello, Wendy. So good to see you. Alexandra says, if I made something out of a pattern that I charge, then I charge some, can I say that is mine? I'm not sure what you mean, Alexandra. So maybe rephrase that so I can help. If I made something out of a pattern, then I change. Oh, now I understand. If I made something out of a pattern, then I change some. Can I say that it's mine? No, that's copyright infringement. You can't take someone else's work and change any part of it and then make it yours. They've done all the hard work, and it's easy for anyone to look at anything and say, well, I'm going to change 10%, and because I change it, it's mine. No, Alexandra, that's not a good practice. It is copyright infringement. And not even if it doesn't matter if it's free on someone's blog and you're not going to charge for it. You cannot take anyone else's work, make any changes to it, and republish it in any form. I don't care if you copy and paste it as a reply in a Facebook or you just share it in an email. No. So you cannot do that. Absolutely not. Wendy says, LOL, that was my question. What baseline do you use for hourly rate? Whatever minimum wage is in your area, that I'm going to say is the price that you start at. So that's a good starting point. Let's see. Wendy makes an excellent point that I make as well. She says, the more you practice, the quicker you get. Absolutely. So maybe the first time you make that hat, because you're reading the pattern and you're going along with it, maybe it does take you 2 hours. But then maybe after you make 2 or 3, maybe it does only take you an hour. You do get quicker. So yes, the more you make something, maybe the quicker you get. But it's still your time. And that's why it's also a good idea that if you are going to do this as a business, you do want to really fine tune and streamline the things that you make. I don't think it's a good business model to say, I'll crochet anything for anyone, anytime. That's, you're always going to be, scrambling. You're never going to be able to be proactive because you're doing a lot of research and trial and error. And, it's very difficult to be paid for that time every single time. Alexandra says, what about Etsy? What about Etsy? I'd love to hear what your question is about Etsy. Connie Brooks, good afternoon, y'all. She says, it has been a while since I've been able to catch a live. It's good to see you here. Loretta says, different strokes for different folks. Down payment works for me. Thank you for your input, though. No, I do agree. I do agree that you need to get some money to secure the order. And because there have been so many circumstances where people will pay a little bit up front or half up front, you're still making the item. So those customers can very easily say, I want my money back, or they don't pay you the rest, and here you've made this special order and now they're no longer interested. So there's way too much room for error, and there's way too many factors that will not go in your favor. And that's why I always say, take all the money in advance. Don't take the order until you get all the payment. Let's see who else is here. Alexandra, she asked a question, but Alexandra, I did answer this before earlier in the video. She said, should I charge also the cost of the pattern? And that's where I talked about expenses that are just for this one invoice. And then there's big expenses for overall your business as a whole. And really, maybe you only make a pattern one time for this one person, but if it's something that you're going to be making multitude of times, if it's something you're going to add into your shop, then no, it's not fair for one customer to pay for that. Hello, Nora. So good to see you. Debbie says, yes, I always charge for the cost of the pattern. I think if you're only making it for one client, maybe, but again, that may not be the best solution for you to have a business with longevity. So if it's something that you're going to be making a lot, no, it doesn't go to one client. Let's see. Who else is here? What else are you saying? Amanda Woodbury says, great pricing, boundaries, and community is a great starting point. Francis says, I was trying to get a small stock first and then start an Etsy shop. That could be a way. That could be something that you do. I like to be very proactive. So I like to know before I start making things and then trying to sell them. some things that I do are maybe you test some things out, you determine whether or not you like to make them. And if there's any sort of variation in something, then it like maybe you do want to make a hat, right? But maybe there's, 6 different sizes that you can make this hat in, from newborn all the way up to adult. So that's why I don't like to make a lot of stock. Maybe I like to make a sample and then say, this hat can be made in these sizes and here are the prices for every single size. Maybe you make a blanket, and the blanket that you make, it's like, look, it's just for newborns. It's just 36 by 36. This is just what I do. Yeah, you can make stock for that because the variations are already going to be made. But I would caution you from making too much stock, because people will always see something and go, I love it, but I want it in blue. I love it, but I want it in cotton. So I would caution you from doing that. Let's see. Alexandra says, Etsy, do they charge extra if I post my items over there? Yes. So there are fees associated with starting a shop on Etsy. And so you can get all of those figures and you can get all of that information on Etsy. They're very clear and very straightforward. So if you do want to open an Etsy shop, there are fees associated with it, and they're very clear about what those are. Loretta says, makes sense. I'm so glad. Connie says, I was asked to make a blanket. Don't know how big. Curious on price. Say twin, full, etc. I would say use my formula. That's what I would say. I would love to hear what you think after you see my formula. Alexandra, my pleasure. She says, I've created a pattern. Somebody altered. Yeah, that's not good. You can reach out to that person, especially if you can prove that they got that pattern from you. And you can reach out to them to try to come to some kind of conclusion, because really it's not a legal practice to alter someone's work and post it as your own. So I would encourage you to maybe try to come up with a reasonable solution. Francis says, I've been asked on my Facebook page on certain things if they like it or not, just to get a feel. Oh, yeah, that's how you're gauging with what people like. Whew. All right, the last comment that I see is from Chris Lopez, and she's replying to Alexandra. She says, and she's asking, of course, about the pattern question. So I'll leave that one there. That'll be a conversation for another day. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. This is really something I feel so passionately about. Because I think that it is possible to have a crochet career. It is possible to have a successful crochet career mentally, physically, financially, making crochet items and selling them. I think that there are things that the crochet world says, hey, this is what everyone does. And I think that they're dead wrong. I think that they're terrible practices. Not charging or, hopefully getting money after the fact, or charging for yarn times. I mean, really, I just think there are so many misguided things that we hear. So my reason for trying to really share this message far and wide is so that we're bettering that internal voice that we have. We do have value. We do have skill. It doesn't matter if you're a slow crocheter or maybe you've only been crocheting for a little while. You have value, and there are people who would love to pay you for what you do, if that's the path you choose, okay? So I would love it if you read my 3 stories about how I started my crochet career. Those are in the video description up there. And then also, you will also find in the video description up there the Tip Tuesday today. And of course, these are all perfectly aligned because it's essentially how to price your work. And I do have 3 simple steps. And that's what I outlined today. And then, of course, we just had a free-for-all conversation, which I love. You guys see how passionate I am about this conversation, and I love that you guys have so many questions about it as well. If you guys sell what you make, if you're thinking about selling what you make, please just give me a little line in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Maybe you don't sell what you make, but maybe you're in other crochet communities and you see this question come up. How much should I charge for this? What would you charge for that? How much should if pricing your crochet work ever comes up, if you could please share this post, I would really, really appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this Tip Tuesday. This was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. Drop me a line. Tell me you enjoyed it. Tell me you you have questions, let's keep that conversation going. And again, if you enjoyed this, if you thought it was valuable, if you could hit that share button and share this video in just one place where you enjoy crochet, I would really appreciate it. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining the American Crochet Association for Tip Tuesday. Peace, love, crochet. I'll see you next time.